1, 0. Om Shri Krishna Sharana Mama. Om Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Om Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Today, I wanted to first let me adjust my camera. I'm sorry about that. There you go. It slid. Live show. Welcome. Today, I want to talk about another type of show, and that is music. I want to look at Taylor Swift. So, folks who know me know that I love music, and my bass is always beside me in my videos here. I don't really talk about music so much on this channel. I started another channel for that. If you just type in my name, Aaron Joy, and classic rock, you'll find it. I talk about bits and pieces here and there. I just did a video on Bon Jovi and Willie Nelson. But today, I thought I would talk Taylor Swift, because a video came up on my YouTube feed declaring Swifties, her fans, a cult. And I went, give me a break. Then I started looking around and saw other videos talking about her as a cult leader and Swifties are cult members. And I just went, give me an effing break. If you know me, you know that I am very particular about how we use the word cult. Most people, I find, use it way too much in circumstances that aren't really workable, and it just shows their ignorance. And what happens is the word cult becomes like the word racism. It is meaningless after a while. If everything is racist, nothing is racist. Or if everything is a Nazi that you don't like, then nothing is a Nazi. And it's very atrocious to Jews who died under Nazis. So if everything is a cult, really nothing is a cult. And I'm very particular about this. And I'm very particular about not calling things cults and not playing into this world of, well, if it ain't Christian, it's a cult. Or if it doesn't follow Hinduism, it's a cult. No. Cult has very specific definitions, which are now about nearly 100 years old, and which have been looked at by academics and theologians time after time in many different contexts, and we have a definition of cult. So I wanted to see, according to that definition, is Taylor Swift a cult leader? Are Swifties cult members? And that might even be crazy to say. I mean, it's Taylor Swift. She's an entertainer who plays guitar and sings. But, David Koresh played guitar and sang. Charles Manson, I think, maybe played guitar, but he sang and he wrote lyrics. If you think Shri Chimnoy is a cult leader, well, he's done tons of albums. So it's not actually impossible to think of a cult leader being also a musician. In her case, it would be a musician turned into a cult leader. But, it's not that odd. Cult leaders are like everybody else. They're artistic and they're creative. So let's look at this today. We're going to react to a couple videos, 4 videos actually, that I just randomly found, and I haven't looked at them at all. So I might be walking into something that's completely ridiculous or completely serious. I think one is a Christian video. I'm not too sure. I don't even know. They might be response videos, so I might be responding to a response of a video. I don't know. I'm hoping there'll be no copyright strikes here, copyright strikes on YouTube with music. I haven't checked. I probably should have, but we'll figure that out later. But I want to answer the question, is she a cult leader? And or are her followers cult members? So, to do this, we need a definition of cult. We need an exact definition. And there is one that I refer to all the time. And it's from 1951. And here we are, 2024. So like I said, almost a century old. And it's by a guy named Robert J. Lifton, who in 1951 created a thesis that said, when you look at all these cults out there, and this is before the Moonies and the Hare Krishnas too, so he was really early on He said cults tend to share things. And we'll get into that in a second. They tend to have traits that all basically share without question. And he created a list of 8 things that makes a cult. Now, if you don't have these 8 things, according to him, you're not a cult. Also, he said we have to differentiate between cults and cults of personality. So I believe this is what MAGA is around Donald Trump. It is a cult of personality. There are some wacko people who are like, oh, Donald Trump is God and he's been sent by Jesus. But those are like 2 or 3 people out of millions. And if millions of people don't believe that, that is not a cult. That's just a few loonies on the side who have a cult of personality thing going on. In order to be a cult, everyone would have to say that. This is where people fail. Oh, well, it's a cult. Well, how is it a cult? It doesn't follow these 8 things, so it's not. I'm very cut and dry this way. Also, you can't have 3 or 4 things and be a cult. You have to have all 8. Because what happens, and this is what I see over and over and over again, is you say 2 or 3 things, and that makes you a cult, and suddenly now, 99% of the world is a cult. I literally saw someone say that if you don't follow Jesus, you're in a cult. So Buddhists, they're cult. Atheists are cults. All these people are cults. That's it. That's all it takes. It's just to not follow Jesus. I'm like, no, that's bullshit. Someone else said to me, oh, well, you have to follow the word of God. Well, what is the word of God? Oh, it's Hindu scriptures. Okay, prove to me it's the word of God. And I'm like, well, it is. Prove it to me. Because the Christian Scientists say that they have the word of God, and the Mormons do, and so do Buddha and the Muslims. So why is your word of God like shit? That's an argument that now will go on for the next millennium. We can never actually prove that unless God comes down. So Robert J. Lifton did away with all that stuff. He said, no, we have 8 points that all cults follow. You have to follow all 8. You're not a cult of personality, which isn't all 8. You may have cult-like traits if you have a few of those, but that doesn't make you a cult. There may be a few people who are crazy, but that doesn't make you a cult. It is a universal thing. Everyone in your group follows these 8 things. If anything, 90% of the people will follow all 8 things, and then there's a few people on the fringe who aren't. So that's really important to have this, and we're about to go over the 8 before I get into Taylor Swift. If you don't want to sit through all of this, come back later. I put chapters in within 24 hours of broadcast, and I'll put a chapter, and you can go right to the videos if you don't want to hang out and see what I have to say about Taylor. That's fine. So we're going to go over this list, and this is for me set in stone. Now, since Robert J. Lifton has written, many other people have studied cults and written about cults. In the 1970s, the Moonies and the Hare Krishnas really caused a blossoming of cults, along with Jim Jones. The study of cults just went right through the roof. And many people have formulated, well, 8 isn't enough points. We need 12 or 16 points. We need more. The problem for me is when we get into like 16 points, now things that might have been a cult maybe are not a cult. Because you've made it too stringent. So David Koresh is, but maybe Jim Jones isn't. And now that's too much. So I think 8 is a really good selection. There are exceptions to the rule. There are cults which don't always follow this. I think they're minorities, though, in my own cult research and having been a member of a religious cult. So we're going to see if Taylor Swift follows these 8 points. Now, the points also, my last thing, and then we'll go into them, are not specifically religious. And this is something to keep in mind, and that makes Robert's work, to me, revolutionary. Because he said you could have a cult that is not a religious cult. MAGA, woke progressives, you name it. Star Trek fans, Doctor Who fans, whatever. And so he made a list that you can use anywhere. So these, people say, well, you have to believe Jesus, otherwise you're a cult. Well, then not all MAGA fans believe in Jesus, so now how do you define cult? And then go, oh, well, and they have like, oh, well, here's a brand new definition of cult. Robert Lifton said, no, we have one definition. It has 8 points, and it can be used for secular, religious, or anything. Stephen King fans. Doesn't matter. We can take these 8 points, and that's what makes this so good and worth memorizing. Okay? I get very adamant about this because I see people, it's very common for me to see people who have like 3 points. I saw one guy, and this is my last example, and then we'll get into it. This guy wrote online, well, if you want people to think you're the best, and you ask money for them, and you don't want them to leave, that makes you a cult. So I said, oh my God, I went to McDonald's. They think they're the best fast food. They wanted my money, and they wanted me to come back. People who go to McDonald's are cult members. And you know what his response was? Oh, well, you're misinterpreting me. I'm like, no, you said 3 points. And go, oh, well. And then he had to create a 4th point and a 5th point. So don't do that. Be more intelligent than those people. Don't be arrogant and show off when you really don't know what you're talking about. 8 points, really simple. You don't even have to read all the cult literature. So I have talked about this in a previous episode, and you can go back to that, and I will link to it today. But right now, we're going to do a brief look at these 8 points, so I don't force you to go back and whatever. And so we're all on the same page. In some case, you're someone new, or you're just checking into this one video, or you're a Taylor Swift fan, and you want to know if you should tell your mom, yes, I am, I'm in a cult, or no, I'm not. So shake it off, Mom. So the 8 points are right here, and this is the big headings for each of them. I'm going to read each thing and then just give you a little brief about this. And I do have to say that I have adapted this from a friend of mine named Dr. Leanne Marino. She is a Christian minister down in North Carolina. We've done some podcasts together, and I've actually put a few of them up on this channel. She has her own show and her own ministry, and she's a friend of mine of many, many years, and she wrote an article about Robert J. Lifton. And so I've borrowed her article to do today's explanation. So a cult has 8 points. I'll link to Leanne's article down below, along with everything else that I talk about. It's always linked down below. So the first one is Malou control. And sorry if I mispronounced that, but I'm not French. Basically, disconnection is how I define this. We could see this in cults control what's around a cult member. So we think of cults as living together. Often you see cults not allowing members to watch TV or watch the radio or do social media or communicate with outsiders. And I am quoting from Leanne, but there's a bookshelf behind me, and there's numerous books on cults on that shelf. So I'm also fusing some of my own reading with stuff from her. So if you want to check out her article, I'm not doing a word-for-word reading here. One thing that I have read, and that's why I want to mention this, is it's very common to see people in cults being told to cut from their parents and their friends, have nothing to do with them ever again. They're just non-existent. Why? Because they're not in the cult. This is a big thing. So Malou control, you're disconnecting people from their previous life, from outsiders, from outside influence. That's a huge, huge thing. It's often a dead giveaway. And you just think about this. How many people lived with Charles Manson? How many people lived with David Koresh or lived with Jim Jones? So you can see that in your own and with your own eyes, even if you haven't studied cult. The next thing is what Lifton calls mystical, or Leanne calls mystical manipulation. So this is actually surrendering to your leader. So cult leaders manipulate your emotions, your thoughts, your beliefs, and your spiritual experiences to produce some desired result. You have a certain experience that puts you in a certain mindset. And I speak now from my own personal experience of following Adida. That mindset then surrenders you more to the leader. Oh my God, I had this experience, and now I know truly that you are God. I had myself corrected once because I had an experience, a response to something, and I had someone in a group say, no, that's not right. You had this response. Because you see, the response I had I wasn't surrendering myself to Adida, so I was corrected. I was told, no, you have this. And I actually saw someone, they said, well, I didn't have that experience. And then someone went, oh, yes, you did. Yeah, you did have it, so you're okay. Because the person was like, well, maybe I didn't, and maybe I'm not maybe I have a disconnect from the guru. No, you don't. No, you don't. And this person was gaslit right in front. Oh my God, it was. I had to leave the room. I was just like, wow. Often with this manipulation, you are taught to believe that you are part of some bigger plan. You know, all my life I've been looking for this guru, and now I'm found him, and together we're going to revolutionize the world. Okay? So there's some grand purpose, and it's probably God's purpose, you know. And it's just sort of everything's been manipulated in this sort of mystical with mystical overtones. You got what I'm saying here? And at the end of the day, it's all about doing whatever the leader says, which might be to cut yourself from your friends and family. It's all about surrendering to the leader and letting them tell you what to think, what to feel, everything, what you like, what you dislike. There's a book, Cartwheels and Asari, by a former member of Shriek Shimnoi, this young girl who was born into the group, and she was told what she liked and didn't like. And she was told that she did not like making out with a guy who she actually had a crush on and made out with. She was told, and she's like, and she writes in the book, but I really enjoyed kissing him. And no, you didn't, because the guru doesn't approve. You should marry this other guy who you think is a horrible person, but you really don't think he's a horrible person. So that's what this is. So the next thing we see here on the list is demand for purity. So cults routinely paint us and them. We're good. We're the cult. We're not a cult. We're a pure, wonderful group doing God's will. You guys are impure. You're foolish. You're lost. I've heard this so many times. You guys are lost to the truth. In Adida, this is how they always dismiss ex-members. I've seen this over and over. It's hysterical because they actually do something that proves they're a cult to show that they're not a cult. They literally say, well, it's not Adida and it's not Adidam, which is the group, and it's not anyone in the group. It's you. You're lost to the truth. And you need to get pure, and then you'll understand the truth of why you should come back. And they do this over and over, like, this is a sign that you're a cult, because this is what cults do. Like, you're clueless. The stuff I'm telling you, these 8 points are not a blueprint. I literally had this argument with someone the other day. So it's us and them, and there's a purity sense. We're pure and you're not. And you're only able to be pure within the group. You can't just study Adida outside or Sri Chimnoi or whoever. You have to come in and study it with us. Why? So we can mystically manipulate you. We can make sure you have the approved, correct experiences. It's very, very important. And often with this sense of purity, there is a sense of you're told what you have to do and how you're going to do it. So it's not just your thoughts and beliefs, but there's often standards of purity that you have to maintain. That might be your thoughts, your study habits, your hygiene, what you wear, rituals you do, what music you listen to. I've literally been heard that you shouldn't listen to rock music. You should only listen to music that the guru likes, which is approved spiritual music. Like, whatever. God created all music. And you have to wear certain things, and you have to do certain things, and you're supposed to study 7 hours a day. Well, I don't have time to study 7 hours a day. Well, then you're going to have to give up your job, because that's what you have to do. And if you don't do this, you will be punished, or shunned, or excommunicated, or killed, or something. That's what happens in these cults. You have to act like this way, otherwise you're going to be like them. They're horrible. And if you don't, something will happen to you. You will be punished in some way. I speak from experience. That is a big thing. Punishment is huge with cults, because that's how you gaslight people, and you force them, and you prevent them from leaving, and whatever. There's all sorts of things here. So the other thing that cults have, and this is often a hard one to figure out when you're an outsider, is a sense of confession. So this goes in many ways. Cults tell you that everything you've ever learned is a lie. This is a safe place. And in this safe place, you can tell us everything. Oh, and you should actually tell us everything. I need you to tell me about how many people you've slept with. Okay? And what did they do? I just need to know. Do you feel like you're a gay or a lesbian? I need to know all these things. We need full confession time. It's all safe here. Everything is safe in this place that will gaslight you and manipulate. It's safe. And you're supposed to divulge everything. And it can be hard because this requires listening to people who have been in the cult, and this is not one of the bigger things for a cult, but it usually does happen because since it's us and them, this is my safe space, and in my safe space I should be able to say anything, and I'm forced to say everything because that's how you manipulate people. A guru manipulates somebody by knowing stuff about them, really. If I don't know anything about you, it's hard to manipulate you. So the next thing on my list going down is sacred science, and that is a sense of uniqueness. So my group, my cult, is something new and it's innovative and it's different and it's not a cult, and that's why you should be a part of us. This message has never been revealed to the world before, yada yada yada. Also, don't question and don't debate and don't think about it. I have literally seen cult leaders shut down people who asked a question. But nope, you're gone. How dare you? You're not following. And they've been booted. I asked questions in Adidam and they hated me. Literally hated me. I left of my own free will, but I was put in some very uncomfortable positions, like they were having study groups without me. I only lived a few miles away, and they were having study groups without me. I was invited to things because I asked questions. And when I did ask questions, I was literally pushed away. Don't do that. I was told not to. So that's what this is. Next we have on the list loaded language. We could also think about this as special language. This is something that I think a lot of people talk about cults sometimes miss. And this is actually something we can see with non-religious groups, woke progressives or MAGAs. It's where words have one meaning inside and another meaning outside. And I've seen so much clash because I'm talking to you and you're just looking at me going, huh? And people don't get this. This is a huge, huge thing. So cults often teach sort of their own definitions to words. Adidam teaches, I saw someone said, is Adidam a religion? No, is Adidam a cult? And on this website, literally someone went, no, because the definition of cult is XYZ. And I looked at this definition and went, from what point of view is that the definition of cult? It was a completely different definition. And then they said, well, we're actually not even a religion because religion is ZYD. I'm like, wow, if that's the definition of religion, there is nothing on this earth that is a religion. Because it's just such an odd definition that makes sure that they're not a cult and makes sure that they're special, you see, they're unique. And this is really common with groups. I think maybe the word Brandon, here in the States, Brandon, go Brandon, is a word like that. We took a word, we changed the definition, and then I see liberals use this word. I saw a liberal, he goes, I am all for Dark Brandon, he's saving America. I'm like, you don't quite get the definition of Dark Brandon, do you? So it's language which is loaded with lots of insider information, with different meanings, and it can make communication on the surface seem fine, but when you dig in, you're not communicating. You're just not, because the person's like, no, that's not. One of the things I often see with cults is they use a lot of cliches. Well, the outsiders are bad. TV's bad. Really, not all TV is bad, honestly. You mean National Geographic is bad? The documentary I watched on Al Capone is bad? Really? How is that bad? Oh, you mean How I Met Your Mother is bad, or Friends is bad. So it's a lot of cliches to get you to believe things. And this is a tricky one, and people mess this one up, or they miss this one, actually. So the next one is doctrine over person. And this is conformity, as I have here, because if you haven't figured out by now, some of these categories are a bit odd, so that's why I gave you a second thing. So this one is, every cult has some doctrine that everyone adheres to, because if you don't, you can't reach however salvation is defined in your cult. You need to follow these doctrines. Now, this is very typical for all religions. All religions have doctrines, okay? Not all religions are cults, though. Here's what makes a cult doctrine different than um, a normal religious doctrine, whatever the religion, it doesn't matter. Zionism, excuse me, or Zionism even. Anything is all people must adhere to the same doctrine in the same way. Not all Christians are the same. Not all Muslims are the same. If all Muslims are the same, then we have a dwindling Muslim population because they're all killing themselves. That's not true. Not all Christians are the same. No matter how much you hate Christians, they're not all the same. Not all Hindus are the same. I'm a Vaishnava, some are Shaivas, some are this or whatever. We're not a cult because there's too much diversity. I've read someplace that there's like 49,000 sects in Christianity, and some of them are very different, which means Christianity is not a cult. It can't be. There's diversity. You have to have everyone doing the same way, and it's just this doctrine. Now, it may be based on a person, but this doctrine, at the end of the day, demands stuff. So, like, Adida is gone. He doesn't live anymore in the body. But the doctrine survives. So this is what it's meant by doctrine over person. It doesn't require a person. The doctrine outlives Adida. Okay? And there's no exception to this. The doctrine is it, and everyone follows it, which is why cults are small. So when people say, well, MAGA is a cult, okay, I'm going to challenge you to show how 5 million people who have never met each other, have no communication with each other, and are spread out over how many miles are all acting the exact same way and thinking the same and peer pressuring each other. They're not. And yes, there may be things all MAGA people say, or all woke progressives, whatever, but the diversity is huge, which means it's not actually a cult. Okay? You kind of can't have a large group and it be a cult, because there's just no way to control 5 million people. Cults tend to be small. When I was in IDDOM, I think there was anywhere between 15 to 18,000 official people on the book. I think it was closer to 18. I remember someone saying it was like 2,000 people or so, give or take. That was it. And they all are communicating on the same email server and with each other and in groups, and they're seeing each other face to face. It can be a cult. But you can't have like, not all Muslims are cult, or not all Buddhists are cult, or not all people who live in Texas are cults. Get that thing out of your head. Now the last point here, and then we'll go into Tay-Tay, is dispensing of existence. So this is sort of like the us and them. This is the outside world is evil point of view. So that's bad. Let it go. Just let all that outside world go. You don't need to go to the movies. You don't need to do this. You don't need to do that. Let it all go, because it is evil. The truth is here in front of me in this room. It is fixed. It has been divined from me because I'm your leader, and it is absolute, and there is no questions about this. And you need to be here to find it. Forget about movies. Forget about TV shows. Forget about music. This is it right here. And existence out there may not be real. I'm going to tell you how to see true reality. Okay? Those outside the group aren't accepting of true reality. They're accepting of fake reality. And sometimes this idea will even go into something that sounds like the world is about to be destroyed, but guess who's going to be saved? We're going to be saved. I saw something in the news the other day about these people in Africa. They get rid of 6 of their teeth. It's absolutely horrible. So when the world is destroyed, God will go, oh, you're one of my followers because you're missing 6 teeth. That's horrible. Well, that's clearly a cult. It was the Halley's Comet folks who all died with their Nike shoes on. The world is being destroyed, but we're going to be safe. Now, we're going to kill each other now, but we're still going to be safe. See, this is a cult. So this dispensing with existence outside the world. You need to be frightened of this world. I know Charles Manson taught this idea, that you need to be frightened of the world. And this is one of the ideas which has been misinterpreted, because people say, well, woke progressives say that the world is a horrible place, and they're right. Yeah, okay, Donald Trump does the same thing. All these. So, and I say it on the show, the world's a really bad place. Doesn't make me a cult leader, though, because just saying the world is bad, well, that's one point. I need 8. And even then, I'm not telling you to get away from it, you see. So this is 8 points. Robert Lifton. You can, as I said earlier, check out the link down below to Dr. Leanne Marino's article about this and also the podcast that I did on this if you want to get into this more. It's something that I talk about frequently on this show. Maybe not as frequently as I feel like, but it's in my head a lot. It's something that I look for. It's something I'm fascinated by. So, with these things in mind, we are now going to go watch some Taylor Swift videos. And I'm not going to like they say something, we're going to line it up, and we're not going to do that. I'm just responding freely as I do to all my reaction videos. But we're going to keep these things in mind. And I'm also curious about how people define a cult and, what they're saying. I don't know. So to help you out with this, look at what I've done. We're going to get rid of our big one, and I'm going to give you a list right here. Of what I've just said. And excuse me, I need to take a glass of water. Speaking of music, my Ace Frehley Baby Yoda mug, because I love Kiss. No, Gene Simmons. Sorry, Gene Simmons. I'm reading his book right now, too. How did I mess that up? Anyways, and for anyone who wants to know, I play rockabilly bass. I'm actually talking to a friend of mine right now about maybe doing a Johnny Cash thing. I love music. I previously owned a music label. I've released about, 100 plus songs out there. I've done some industrial music, played in a metal band, blues band. My last outing was an alt country group. I've been playing bass since I was 18, guitar since I was 14. I'm now 47. I've been involved in music in every way. I haven't toured or done big stuff, but little things. So I do have a background in music. I'm not just some guy, I'd like to think. And I've studied cults. So bringing those two things together, we're going to look at Taylor Swift today. So we have the list of stuff here. I'm going to bring up now the window of videos, which you can see we have in here 4 videos. There we go. That I have found. Let's adjust this a little bit better for you. Hang on one second. I hate things which are like really tight or whatever. There we go. It's not quite doing what I wanted, but that's all right. I don't know how your screen is. I sometimes worry that things will get chopped off. But anyways, here is the videos we're going to watch. There are links to each of these videos so you can find the original source, and I'm giving credit to that source. And yeah, we're just going to check these out. They're about, I'd say about 15 minutes a piece or so. So we've got a little bit more time we're going to be spending together. And again, I will be putting chapters in, and each one, if you just want to skip through and whatever. I got it if you don't want to watch whole videos. I'm on YouTube all the time. I don't necessarily want to watch whole videos. So here we go. There's no order to this.
Oh my God! Fan bases are the worst. If you're in a rabid fan base, you're a part of a cult. You're a part of a hive mind. Today we are talking about...
So you see, we're right off the bat here. Apologies if the volume is funky. I have no idea what it sounds like on your side. He's immediately said that you're part of a cult and a hive mind, but let's find out if he tells us what a cult is, or if he just makes the statement, you're in a cult, and we're supposed to believe him. I don't know, but let's find out.
Swifties. Swifties are Taylor Swift fans that are ravenous. We're usually women, sometimes men, but mostly teenage women who are obsessed with Taylor Swift. And she's one of the biggest mommy stars of all time right now. I mean, you have your Justin Bieber fans, you have your Harry Styles fans. Nobody really compares. Well, even Andrew Tate, but I don't think anybody really compares to Taylor Swift fans. The Swifties are... They're f***ed. They're f***ed. Absolutely. Taylor Swift right now she's on her most recent tour, which is called Eros, which is...
So just so you know, she also just released the Something Poets album. I'm totally blanking on the name of this album. Tortured Poets Society. Is that it? She just released that, and I think that's how she kind of got on my YouTube radar. And she's on the Eras tour right now. As I film this, I think she just canceled a couple shows in Europe, in Great Britain. For those who want a timeline or
It's
context.
grossed over $780 million. That's, think about that for a fucking second. The second highest grossing tour of all time. The first being Elton John's tour that was like 5 years long, yada, yada, yada. I think Taylor Swift is going to stomp it because the tour this year started in March of 2023, but it doesn't get over until November of 2024. So, which it's 146 shows. She's only played 54 so far, and it's already made her a billionaire off of doing the most generic pop songs of all time. But some of them are bops. What am I supposed to say? I like some of the songs, dude. We'll shake it off. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. But I wanted to take time because looking at like
So I think I mentioned at the beginning, if I didn't already, I'm not a Taylor Swift fan in any way, shape, or form. I think I should probably clarify that if I haven't. I like one song by her, Shake It Off, because The Rock does it. That's the only song. I've listened to like 3 of her albums and they bored me to tears. People say she is the greatest songwriter ever. I will put up Leonard Cohen's lyrics against hers any day. I'll put up Robert Hunter's lyrics. Jim Steinman of Meatloaf any day. She's not the greatest lyricist. I'm not even mentioning Bob Dylan either. They say she's the greatest guitar player. I've seen her compared to Van Halen. No, Van Halen actually rediscovered the guitar and taught people how to play it in a brand new way, how to make sounds that had never been heard before, and really helped create a new style of music. She's not doing any of the above. I've heard that she's as great as the Beatles. No, the Beatles literally revolutionized music. They changed music forever. After them, you actually didn't have to perform on stage. You could just be a studio outing. The concept of being a studio band really wasn't created until them. Also, they created music that couldn't be reproduced on stage. That's not her. Greatest singer ever? You do know she uses auto-tune live, right? She's that good that she needs a computer to help her out. It's been verified. Yes, she's doing the biggest grossing tours ever, and I actually could not figure out why she was so big. I don't even really think she's that attractive, quite honestly. And then I watched Shake It Off. I watched the official video, and I'm looking at that, going, I got it. Because when you look at the video, she's with all these people who are doing the thing, and then she's the geeky one out. She's messing up, and she's doing the funky stuff. And at the end, people are dancing in their own way. It's a video to people who are outsiders, who don't belong, who don't fit in. You know, the geeky kid. It's talking to a generation that, that is relating to her, that is younger. It's the same audience that Lady Gaga reached with her Little Monsters. It's the same audience that in my generation Kurt Cobain reached, and the same generation that the Beatles reached out to. It's the youth, and that's who I think Taylor Swift connects with, is the youth. I listen to her lyrics and I'm like, okay, I got it. She made an album at 14 and she knows how to craft a song, but I can't relate to any of her music. I also don't think the lyrics are as amazing, like I said, Jim Steinman. But, she can craft a song, but I don't get it. I'm 47. I don't really want to hear about the complaints of an 18-year-old. You know what I mean? But if you're 18, you connect with her. And I think that's why she's become so huge. And also, social media has changed, even since Lady Gaga and Madonna and the Beatles. It's just changed that now there's this obsessive thing. And I also think the current generation of kids lack self-esteem. They want to belong to things more than anything. They are hopeless, and that sense of belonging is huge. They are without religion often. They have a million options and are trying to go in a million places sometimes, and they're not going anywhere. They're going in circles. They're uncomfortable in their own bodies or their heads or whatever, and growing pains and this and whatever. And I think she gives these people an outlet. And being a Taylor Swift fan now means something. You're in the club. So I think that's what we're seeing. She will fade away at some point. She will not be the top of the pile forever. It's impossible. No musician has ever done that. You name Dolly Parton, Johnny Cash, Elvis Presley. You name one of the top musicians, even Paul McCartney and John Lennon, all fell. Remember, George Harrison, a Beatle, a great guitar player, for years didn't tour because he couldn't sell out shows. No one cared. A Beatle. Taylor Swift can't do that. Or she at some point, that might be her. Or a show downgrade or something. So I was going to say, if a Beatle struggles, then Taylor Swift can't, they're the greatest ever. She's not going to beat them. So she will collapse at some point. Some people are saying it's now with the latest album. People are saying she needs a producer who's willing to tell her no. I don't know. But this is fate. This is what I see. This is her just connecting to a generation. And they're very possessive. So they say, well, she's the greatest. She's the best. Whatever. I guess it's really important to tell as we go into this, my personal point of view. I want you to know where I'm coming from. I'm not necessarily looking to hate on Taylor Swift either. I have no interest in doing that. I'm really just looking to see, is she a cult and is she a cult leader? That's my goal here.
I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan. I grew up in Kansas City. I live in Kansas City.
That is fucking disgusting.
I don't know if I want to put that out there, but I don't know. Don't find me. Taylor
Yeah,
Swift,
actually,
even
Kansas City's
invading
rough.
Football, and now women are just going to games to see if she's there, and it's nothing but women at football games now. It's very odd. Just people trying to see if they can see somebody from a box suite. Kind of weird. But I thought that today I would go through and I would look at some fun Taylor Swift fans cringe compilations, dude. It's in.
So before you say, oh, that's a cult because they're trying to look at her up in that box, what did Beatles fans do? Tell me. What did Beatles fans do? Or I've actually read Donny Osmond's autobiography, and he talks about the crazy things fans would do. Or Michael Jackson fans. So we never would say that Donny Osmond fans are a cult. Maybe they're Mormon, but that's about it. That's a cult. But his fans, not necessarily. We never say Michael Jackson fans are cult because, honestly, that would be a good chunk of the world in the early 80s. All of us were Michael Jackson fans. They did some crazy shit. So to just, if you're jumping to the conclusion going, oh, well, that's cult behavior, well, then I guess most of the world was a member of the Michael Jackson cult when Thriller came out. You really want to say that? Anyways, we'll see where he's going with this.
Insane the amount of people who feel so connected to somebody. It's like this is what Jesus must have felt like. You know what's funny too about her music is like you could either be 15 or like 35 and it's all still kind of applicable of just like, you feel like you're the odd girl out. But here's the thing, ladies, you're not fucking special. All of these songs you think that resonate with you, they don't. You're dumb, you're talentless, she's a god, she's prepped up by billions of dollars of advertising and you're wrapped up around it. It doesn't matter. Let's get into the deal here. This video is sponsored by Fume. Once you form a habit, good or bad, it's hard to break. And usually quitting cold turkey
I'm
is
gonna fast
vapor
forward.
with flavor effect. But the 1,000
Because it's not my
customers and has
sponsor.
barcode and use and today. Wow, so she has a movie out, a doc.
So I just want to say I don't consider her that amazing of a performer. I've heard so many people say that she rocks the shows, but I've seen Madonna dance. I've seen shows that are a woman in a bikini outfit with dancers. I don't see what makes this show unique. Justin Timberlake puts on a good show, but really he's just another dancer. Michael Jackson put on a good show. I don't see the uniqueness here.
I remember it's kind of like This Is It by Michael Jackson or that. I don't even mind people dancing in a theater of their own music, but I'm like just imagining like somebody watching like Oppenheimer in a theater and they just hear like a bunch of like 14-year-olds dancing and partying. It doesn't belong in a movie theater. You know what I mean?
That's true, but these people...
Oh my God, so a lot of these are...
But our youth sometimes have no manners.
just like in the theater, oh my God. Yeah, this is chaos. I don't get it. To be fair, it's cringy just because coming from middle America, I'm just like, you need to suppress your emotions and feelings as much as you can. But flashlights by fans during cruel summer in the Philippines. Is that...
You see, he said something key here. He has yet to talk in the 4 minutes we've been doing this about what makes it a cult or is it a cult. That's sort of like clickbait. And that may be what we're doing. I warned you at the beginning of this, we might be going into whatever territory. But he said, I don't get it. Now, I explained to you my theory, but he doesn't get it. And I think people who say, well, she's a cult, they don't get it. I think that's the key. They're saying it's a cult, not because she is a cult leader, they're a cult, They're just kids who don't have any manners. It's that these people don't understand why it's like this. I also think they've forgotten what happened when the Beatles performed. Shea Stadium, where you couldn't even hear them play. Actually, they couldn't hear themselves. Has anyone ever remembered what that was like? I was in New York City. I lived in New York City for a while, and Paul McCartney was on David Letterman, I think, and the limo was driving by, and there was these middle-aged women running after this limo down 8th Avenue. And I'm just like, what in hell's name? And I turned to someone near me and I said, I don't mean to be rude. I'm just on my way to work. What's going on? He goes, Paul McCartney's in that limo. And I went, oh, middle-aged women running down the street during the day for an early filming. Okay. So this isn't that abnormal. We can't forget what our own past has for those of us who are older.
That song, Cruel Summer. God damn, the Philippines has Taylor Swift's got a fucking chokehold on him right now. The 6'4" fucking deer woman is just plaguing the fucking world. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. This is actually what the Kids Bops soundtrack in the studio. This is what it sounds like. How many kids do you think Taylor Swift eats a year? Who wants to come backstage? You're like, oh! She just eats them like that scene in Deborah Logan, the taking of Deborah Logan.
All right.
I mean, this is a literal cult.
No, it's not.
Like a crazy circle pit at the bottom of the
How is a circle pit a cult? Dude, you're doing so well for 5 minutes. If a circle pit is a cult, then that means that a mosh pit is a cult, right? Also, because I was at a mosh pit for Cradle of Filth and they were going in circles. I guess that's a Cradle of Filth cult. Also, I once went to a public concert in a park and people were getting around going in a circle. It was a klezmer band. So all Jews are cult members? No. Being in a circle doesn't make you a cult. Boom. Already debunked this guy 5 minutes in. Otherwise, he's actually very funny, but not a cult.
This is like some Midsummer shit.
No, it's not. I need a sign. I need a sign that says not a cult. Just going in a circle as a group. Maybe they're just not creative. That's a mosh pit for me. It's a mosh pit.
Old girl's got the fucking like Frodo Baggins cape on, dude.
I'm gonna get copyright
strike. Like ripping
I'm
a child
sure.
in half
Oh,
in the bottom of the
whatever.
circle.
He's
The person's just screaming in pain, but really it's just them like looking up at Taylor, trying to reach for her still. And they're ripping her in half. What's this one?
I don't get the live show. I don't get the live
doing
show.
This during the credits of the song. I'd love to see one guy who's just like waiting in his car, like waiting for the kid to get out, and he's just like, he definitely knows the movie's over. Like, this is the credits, and the dad like walks in, and he's like, Rebecca, get your ass out of here, Rebecca. Taylor Swift Ticketmaster disaster.
Stop moving. The website fully crashed. I waited in line.
God, he's
Whatever. I waited in line to see Mick Taylor of the Rolling Stones. I was so excited. Mick Taylor, you know, all the classic Stones albums. Stay in line. This is New York City. It was a B.B. King Club, which doesn't exist anymore. And there's all these guys in line who are big, stereotypical black guys, gangsters. Total, like, yeah, stereotypical. They're waiting in line. I'm this little, skinny, totally geeky white guy. And I get up to the ticket booth, and I'm like, I got a ticket for Mick Taylor. And he looks at me and goes, didn't you get the email? I go, no. And he goes, your show was canceled. I'm like, oh, yeah, no, I didn't get it. Well, what's going on? He goes, it's like NWA or something. I'm like, oh my God. You know how disappointing that was? I also had tickets canceled last minute for Jack Bruce of Cream, the bass player, and he's gone now. Never had that happen again. That was disappointing. Ticketmaster is totally retarded. And you know what? She's going to be touring. This isn't her final tour. So grow up. It's okay. Whatever. This is just immaturity. This is immaturity. This isn't cult behavior. You see, this is not a cult. These are have we actually seen anything here that hits our 8 points below? Have we seen anything here? Is there a demand for purity? Is there any mystical manipulation? No. Is there any control happening by her? No. None of these points are here. This is just very immature children who want to see someone live and, yeah, whatever, for whatever reason. I think a sense of fulfillment, as I said. But just wanting to be fulfilled doesn't mean you're in a cult, because I think all of us in society want to be fulfilled. I think that's a human nature thing, which means then that we're all a cult, all humans are a cult, you see? So, yeah, whatever. This is nothing. This is nothing.
Girls are so stupid, dude. If I was their dad, I'd be like, you're not going. It's like they're getting ready to leave. Yay! I'd let out all the air in their tires. What? Oh, darn it. Does that happen? Dang it.
6 hours.
Ticketmaster, the company responsible for selling these
they're
tickets,
horrible.
is facing increased scrutiny with fans.
Ticketmaster's facing extreme scrutiny. Hasn't Ticketmaster fucked up for like forever? They suck.
Government officials demanding answers on what many claim.
Government officials for Taylor Swift concert? God damn. I'm pretty sure there's some other stuff going on in the world right now that's probably a little more important. We, the world, want to know, Ticketmaster, why are the Taylor Swift concert tickets not going out? We must know.
This will be the first time players hit the road since her 2018 Reputation
He's
Stadium
right.
tour.
Jesus Christ, this is too much power for someone to have. This footage only reminds me of like the Michael Jackson craze was pretty similar. Like people hurling like themselves into like traffic and shit. Taylor Swift fan in disbelief after family surprised her with Eras tour tickets. That's an insane forehead. I know I'm being very judgmental about looks, but that is insane, dude. Feels fake.
Yep.
The guy behind her. Dude is eating down in that soup. That boy is savoring that soup. Move the camera back over. It's a fake cry, dude. Dumbass fucking white suburban family in middle America. Train filled up with Taylor Swift fans.
I've seen that.
I'm out of here.
I went to Britney Spears. No, sorry. I went to see Black Sabbath at Madison Square Gardens, and it was downstairs. So I don't know if you know, there's actually 2 theaters in Madison Square Garden. So there's a normal theater, and then upstairs is this sporting arena that gets converted into a theater. So upstairs was Britney Spears. And I remember I went with a friend of mine. And actually, it wasn't Black Sabbath. It was Heaven and Hell with Ronnie James Dio. And we're walking along, and we're looking at merch for Britney Spears. And I'm just like, yo, what the hell? I'm looking at the tickets going, that's the right date. So I went up to someone and I said, can you help me? I'm very confused. He goes, oh, you just go downstairs. And then it was like, oh, Black and Black Sabbath and blah, 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 you know. But I remember when we left the show, the train filled up. And it was like all these girls. It was like, boom. That's a normal sight in New York. In certain areas where Madison Square Garden, all of a sudden everyone gets on the train, whatever.
I would get the fuck off that train. God damn, dude. What I don't get though is where's the camaraderie here? You know what I mean? Still haven't recovered from seeing Taylor Swift in the 7th row.
It was the best night of my life. We got to the stadium at
It's the best night of your life. It'll never get better from here. You have a kid? No. Did you get married? No.
Since the opening acts didn't go on till 6:30, we had a little time to kill. Just got to our seats. Sean and I wear matching suits, but we also had our light up shoot.
These fucking jumps need to stop, dude.
Before I knew it, the show was starting.
That's a typical audience.
I don't know what
You've been to metal concerts.
I just want to say, check on your local Emma.
Wait, what's Emma?
I think it's a song, like the lyric.
Check on her.
Wait, what? Who is that?
Search Taylor Swift, Emma.
Taylor Swift, Emma. When Emma falls in love?
Little Miss Sunshine always thinks it's gonna rain.
It sounds like a dumb bitch that thinks she's a lot more special than she is. Check on your Emma, your local Emma, please.
I was going to say that my keyboard was acting funny. He's been to metal shows where people are like rocking out. I went to a metal show once in New York, and they opened with Master of Puppets by Metallica. And I'm listening to this, and I was like, God, this recording is weird. There's something weird. And I look around, and like everybody's singing. Like, we're all singing, Master, Master. I'm like, yeah, dude, whatever. This is no cult. No cult.
Would you date Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
If you had the opportunity to date Taylor Swift, would you do it?
No.
I would date her.
Would you marry her?
If she wanted to get married, yeah.
prenup though? She's writing the prenup. Would you still do it?
Nah, she's not.
Not me, dude. I'd be like, you get that fucking prenup the fuck out of here, or else this sweet ass is walking. Actually, this is interesting. What it cost me to go to the Era store?
I live in DC, but I went tonight to a Gillette Stadium. So first I took the metro to the airport, which was $2.80. My round trip flight from DC to Boston cost me $127.80.
Not bad.
The stadium has a clear bag policy, and I didn't have one, so I bought one for $15.99. I also made over 75 friendship bracelets to take with me to give away, and the supplies to make those were $48.71.
Oh, that's cute, though.
Everything I bought for my outfit totaled up to $41.33. The day of the show, we bought a bunch of food and drinks for the tailgate.
To attend a day, you're talking about all the things that are not required for attendance. So this feels weird to tally this stuff up. So I brushed my teeth, and the toothpaste was $3.42. And then I took a shit, a big sloppy poopy, and the Huggies toilet paper I got was $4.57.
My portion of that cost $13.83. Finally, the biggest expense is for my ticket, which was a floor seat, and it cost me $429.70.
That's... No! No! It's too much!
For $429.70? God damn! Oh.
Whatever. I'm going to see Iron Maiden this year, and floor seats are like $1,000-something.
Oh my lord!
Bullshit.
Really?
This experience was
Bullshit.
definitely a splurge, coming in at a total cost of $680.16.
Costs way more than that. That bitch is lying. She said she flew out of town. How much was the hotel? How much was the hotel? How much was the Uber to get there? Did you rent an RV? How much was it there? I think there's a lot of shit. It's kind of that cute thing where it's like, I mean, I spent money, but it's not as crazy as you think, really. But that bitch spent like $4 grand.
I will be getting an adult diaper because I'm not missing a minute of it.
What? You're crazy! You're crazy!
You know what's kind of crazy though? I have a
that's
lot of respect
insane.
for it. I love the idea of someone just like, I spent all this money, I am not moving from the spot. I will shit
no,
myself.
that's...
Here's the thing though, is they're all pussies. They'll never shit themselves in those diapers. You know what I mean?
I went to a show once. I wanted to see Irma Thomas. She's the soul queen of New Orleans. She did the song Ruler of My Heart, which then the Rolling Stones covered, and then Otis Redding, but she did first. First song I ever cried to, 14 years old. I'm listening to this, few bars in, and I'm like, I didn't know you could cry in a song. And she was doing this New Orleans festival concert thing at Lincoln Square, Lincoln Center in Manhattan. And it was like going to be like a 6-hour concert or something, but I wanted to see her. I've been waiting 14 years to see her. So I got there like 2-3 hours early, front row, where I figured the microphone would be, and I sat there. And I sat there, and I sat there through... I don't know what else. I don't remember any of it. And I sat there, and I didn't want to get up to even use the bathroom because it was like, no, I will not. I will lose this seat. This is the best seat in the house. I am here to see Irma Thomas. I don't even want to move when there are people dancing for her. I was like, and then actually I waited an hour afterwards to get her autograph. I mean, I've done it. But again, you know, so I can't fault these people. It's like the only person I've done that to. It was also a free concert, just so you know, and I only lived like 5 blocks away. And I didn't buy anything there.
If you're wearing a diaper, shit yourself. I'd be pissed off if somebody removed a clean diaper. I'd be like, there's no shit in there, really? No piss, no nothing? Swifties will never beat the racism allegations. I'm gonna click that one. That one's
I don't know
funny.
what that
Look,
is.
Travis Kelce dated a black woman? Oh, big downgrade. The black broad looks like she has bad credit. Weave all in her sink. Taylor Swift is classy, a millionaire and childless. And you call it a downgrade. No wonder the black community is in such despair. LMAO, y'all are cooked. Whatever, I don't know. That was brutal. That was extremely hard to get through. I feel like I need to take like a shower. I'm done.
Missed out. She was in Kansas City.
Well, dude, she's at Kansas City every weekend because she's dating Travis Kelce. Even though the Chiefs lost today to the fucking Broncos. Way to go there. You know why I was mad? Because that fucking bitch didn't show up to the stadium and we lost.
He broke his heart.
Well, you're breaking Kansas City Chiefs' heart too. Alright, I'm done.
Have you noticed how Taylor Swift is literally everywhere right?
So that video was clickbait. There's no cult. Running around in a circle is not a cult. So let's try another one.
now?
Welcome to the Eras Tour.
Whether you're a crazy fan or someone who really doesn't get the hype,
Oh,
Taylor's
same
out
image.
here literally causing earthquakes.
It actually caused the equivalent of a 2.3 magnitude earthquake.
Giving post-concert amnesia to her fans.
Taylor Swift is giving her fan base mass amnesia and long-term memory loss.
And recently dominating not just her concerts, but filling up entire football stadiums just for her presence in her New Guys match. Why is the world so crazy about this girl?
She comes off as like a little pretentious or entitled. Why is Taylor Swift the absolute worst?
Is Taylor Swift grossly overrated?
Under no circumstances should you be paying $95,000 to sit and watch a middle-aged woman complain about heartbreak. I don't understand.
Or is there something about her that the haters just fail to see?
And okay, I gotta stop. Is she middle-aged? Like, seriously? How old is Taylor Swift? Because I'm 47. How old is Taylor Swift? I could probably... never mind. 34. Dude, you think 34 is middle-aged? What planet are you on? 34 years old. She was born in 1989, and that's considered middle-aged? Oh my god. Dude, it's not her followers that are in a cult. Dude, that's wild. Wow. What is wrong with the world, people? That is so not middle-aged. I'm middle-aged.
This thing where I wanted to criticize her publicly because I thought that was the cool thing to do.
Once and for all, let us investigate the truth behind the Taylor Swift phenomenon. And sit tight, because these 10 reasons why she's taking over the world might not be what you expect. Like, number 1, her success feels like revenge. Most of us remember when Kanye West rudely interrupted Taylor while she was accepting her award.
Happy for you, I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time.
Most of us remember when the entire world hated Taylor, calling her fake, calculated and manipulative over an out-of-context call that Kim K leaked.
Impossible. Taylor Swift is actually the crazy, manipulative
And most of us remember when Scooter Braun sold record masters for her very first albums, stopping her from owning her own song. Well, Taylor's massive rise after being portrayed as the villain was the sweetest revenge on all those who doubted her. She took all the hate, embraced being the villain, and turned it into her album Reputation.
You notice for 2 minutes in, the name of this video is The Cult of Taylor Swift, and there's nothing here that even remotely mentions cult. So I am of the opinion that this is all clickbait. This is bogus. The fans are immature. They're diehard fans like we've had in every world of music. And it's just clickbait. Okay? It's kind of interesting. The last guy was hysterical. But it's just clickbait. There is nothing here that remotely connects to our 8 things down below. Nothing. Nothing at all. If anything, she manipulates the media, but that doesn't make you a cult. So does the government. You know, she manipulates people's feelings, but that's actually kind of what music is about. There's nothing here. So I am not willing to sit through and go through clickbait. So what I'm going to do is show you how I actually watch videos normally. I watch everything faster. I watch, if you go on YouTube and there's 2 time, I watch things at 2 time, and I've been told I'm insane. How can you do that? That's horrible. How can you hear anything? Well, except if I'm listening to music, I actually, totally, it's easy. Your mind can actually process stuff way faster than you think it can. And I know other people who have done this, and I've been doing it now for years. To listen to a video at normal speed is kind of weird. There's people whose I watch regularly and I've forgotten what their normal voices sound like. I watch everything fast. Your mind can adjust it. So we're actually going to watch these slightly faster. I won't make you suffer through 2 times. And this is how I'm able to watch a lot of videos and things, you know, because everything's so much faster. And I get it all too. Try this. Try this. For those of you who have limited time, watch my videos faster. So we're gonna go a little faster here. I think fine. We'll just try this.
And in an attempt to take back her power, she bravely re-recorded all her stolen albums to make sure her previous record label won't take hers.
I was the one who made this music first. I can just make it again.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing.
Number 2, Taylor Swift is an American symbol. Blonde hair, blue eyes, white skin, red lips. Taylor is your typical American sweetheart. The type.
Now, I understand if you're not a native English speaker and you're not getting this, I'll slow it down if something. But right now, we're not seeing anything cult related. I'm just watching a video with you that it's just music related.
That American moms would want their kids to listen to, because no matter how big she gets, she somehow never loses her innocence. And to be honest, speaking from a musician's perspective, it's indeed worth respect. Because in a world where many pop stars feel the need to hypersexualize themselves just to stay relevant, Taylor managed to rise just by focusing on her talent. Number 3, Taylor Swift is a shapeshifter.
So is Madonna. Yeah, no, this has nothing to do with cult behavior. So we're actually going to fast forward completely. I'm not even going to skip ahead. I'm actually going to skip ahead. And this is not relevant to what I want to be talking about. I want to see how people talk about Taylor Swift as a cult leader. This is not it. Shape-shifting, all this stuff has nothing to do with it. So we're going to skip to the third and fourth points. She's a musical chameleon. Okay, there we go. There's point 4. Let's see what he says.
Of having to relate to her. And speaking of relatable, number 4, her songs are almost too personal. No one knows a girl's heart like Taylor Swift. Millennials pretty much grew up with her, exploring universal feelings of love, jealousy.
See, this is not cult behavior, but this is what I was talking about earlier. He's actually showing that she's speaking to the current generation, which is why I, as a 47-year-old guy who graduated high school in 1996, don't connect with her, particularly since I don't find her that attractive. That's all this is. This is just she is connecting to the current generation, and for whatever reason, they are a little crazy and want to pay a lot of money. No, I'm sorry. Their parents are willing to pay a lot of money. It's not cult behavior, so let's skip ahead some more. If you want to watch this, go and check the link down below, but I want to stay on the religious thing.
The mysteries about who they are written for. Number 5, she is a gifted storyteller.
I'm going to slow this one down because I don't want to hear about this.
Was a blank space or shake it off, and you think that she can only write about breakups, you are in no place to criticize Taylor Swift's lyrical ability.
I'll stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror.
I'll get older, but you'll never stay my age.
Love or
Yeah, I actually don't find her that interesting. I think she's just really witty with word craft, and she knows how to craft a lyric with certain things that work well in a song, like alliteration and rhyming and stuff. But I still will put Leonard Cohen up against her. I'm skipping ahead. Let's see. Yes, she's skillful. Literary. Oh, no. No. We've done this already. Let's just get to the cult stuff. Let's see. Here's
was born called number 6, the Taylor Cinematic Universe. Okay, it's not officially called that, but Taylor is very fond of dropping Easter eggs or hints in her lyrics that
Oh, whatever. This has nothing to do with cult. So all this is... Okay, Taylor Swift became an entire economy. Not a point of cult behavior. And the Rolling Stones are actually... What did they say? The Rolling Stones are like an economy of a small country, you know? So this is actually very normal.
Yet number 8, the cult of Swifties. Taylor might be one of the very few artists who actually makes an effort to make her fans feel like she can still be their best friend. She sends them gifts, bakes cookies for them, personally surprises them on special occasions, and even invites 100 of them to listen to every new album for the first time ever inside her own home with her. So, with all this love and appreciation from her, Swifties give back to her big time and even create a whole culture inside their communities. They spend up to $1,000 each for merch and concerts. They exchange thousands of friendship bracelets with one another, and these fans in the Philippines love her so much they're even willing to attend a concert with just a Taylor Swift impersonator. And they fall in love with her even more, because she's generous too. Like that one time she gave $100,000 each to the truck drivers working for her tour, and a total of $55 million in bonuses for her entire tour crew.
But does that make a cult? I thought that was our moment with this video, and it wasn't. So it could be connected to the mystical manipulation. It could be, you know, I'm giving you stuff and I'm bringing you in, but there's no doctrine here. She doesn't tell them all to live together. She doesn't instruct these people. She treats them like any star actually should treat their fans. And actually, like a lot of people do. Lady Gaga is known for treating her fans well. Others are known for treating their fans very well. And she may take the extra step that others don't do, but it's paying off. But she's not telling them what to do with their lives and how to think and how to do anything. Quite the opposite. You see people connecting with her lyrics and thinking, as the first video showed, I relate to that. But she's not saying, you relate to my lyrics. See, that's what a cult leader does. This is clearly not a cult. There's nothing here. This isn't even manipulation. This is letting them make up their own mind of how they relate to the lyrics. That's not a cult. And she's not forcing them to come to the listening parties and go, hey, do you like the new song? What year did you lose your virginity? No confession. Sharing bracelets with each other, that's, no one's being put out of house and home. There is nothing here that is cult behavior. And as for doctrine, she doesn't have a doctrine. She just breaks up with guys and sings about them, But let's see. Stevie Nicks did the same thing. and how many rock songs are basically the same thing? You ever heard the band Danger Danger? I mean, Bon Jovi, and just name a band. Not a cult. Not even close to a cult. It's simply clickbait. This is crap. And I think he's hopefully using this as clickbait because there's nothing here that is cult. There's nothing here even remotely that's cult-like behavior. Giving a friendship bracelet to strangers isn't cult-like behavior. No.
9. She fights for all artists in an industry.
Cult leaders don't fight for other people who are not in the cult because they're the best of the best and they only care about themselves.
Where the big until right now are just writing song collector. Make a song. Number 10. Taylor Swift can make fun of herself.
Something cult leaders often don't do, or if they do, it's very sarcastic. But
he's portrayed as a crazy guy collector. Make a song called Blank Space and dominate the charts with it.
Yeah. I'm gonna get totally copyright straight, but I do love that video.
Hating Taylor Swift more. But let's agree on one thing. Taylor Swift proves that even if you receive all the hate of the world, if you just focus on what you do all too well, karma will give you something better than revenge. It will grant you your wildest dreams.
Not a cult. Clickbait. 100% clickbait. And if the next video is like this, we're gonna fast forward through it too. Clickbait, people. Let's see.
Hey guys, Colin here, and welcome back to Fight for Truth. In this video, we're going to talk about the
So this is a religious video, actually. This is a Christian group, if I remember correctly. So this might be interesting.
Christian cult of Taylor Swift. As you all know, there have been many immoral artists, actors, and musicians for all of world history. But every once in a while, there's an artist that arises that comes directly from the collective sinful imagination of the people. And this...
So... Yeah. You know where we're going with this, don't you? You know exactly where this is going. Oh my God. Alright, so here's what we're going to do with this guy where everything's the devil, the collective sinful behavior. I simply... I am looking for the next 15 minutes. Does he say she's a cult and then explain what a cult is with, like, the stuff we have talked about? Does he give us definitions and cults and evidence that actually is a cult? Or does he just throw the word out and say it's sinful and be done with it? I don't play that Christian crap. You know that. Not interested in that Satan garbage. I don't even believe in Satan. And all this, whatever. So we're going to ignore his Christian ramblings that I find nauseating and instead just look at, does he define cult? Does he answer his question? Is she a cult according to this? Does he actually expose anything, or is he clueless? I mean, maybe he's a nice guy, but you can be clueless.
Artist is one that perfectly encapsulates most of what is wrong with that culture, most of its sins, its vices. And my main point is...
it's gonna be really hard for me to hold back, just in all honesty. So she is what's wrong with the culture. So, girls should date one guy and never break up with him, I guess. Oh, and don't dance with a bikini on stage?
In this video is that Taylor Swift is that artist when it comes to modern American society. And I'm going to tell you why. First, the real effect of Taylor Swift is best demonstrated in her fan base. As it is written, a student who is fully instructed will become like his teacher. Luke 6:40. Those who idolize Taylor Swift, in other words, will become Taylor Swift. Now,
do I even dare debunk? Yes, so what we're expecting is, let's say she has 1 million fans. Over the next couple of years, we're going to see 1 million 18-year-olds become multi-billionaires and tour the world dancing and make albums. Or we're going to see these girls burn through boyfriends, which girls do anyways, because that's just dating life. I mean, that's such a vague notion. You're going to become like her. Now we could say, well, you know, people try to become like Jesus, and we see that. We see New Age gurus that I call out all the time who say that they are Jesus. Do these fans really think they're going to become like Taylor Swift?
why do I use the word idolize? Well, I use it because that's precisely what seems to be happening here. These people, primarily impressionable young women, actually worship Taylor Swift as essentially a goddess. And I'm not exaggerating. For example, watch this TikTok reaction outside of Taylor's concert that recently went viral. Check this out.
What?
Oh, that's it. That's it. She's a cult leader. Ah! No proof. This is not proof given here. If this is proof, then every Elvis fan, every Beatles fan, anyone who's a fan of anyone is a cult member. You know, all those Donny Osmond cult members. No, not a cult leader. Not a cult person. And also, they literally think she's a god. Okay, maybe somewhere delusional and think she's actually a god. I bet if you cornered them and said, well, has she ever raised the dead? They'd be like, well, no, I didn't mean it literally. And crying at someone doesn't mean they're a god. So, remember at the beginning of the show I said, you can have 2 or 3 people who are crazy, and I used the Donald Trump thing. Like, you can have some MAGA folks who think he's a god, but 1 million people don't. Therefore, not a cult. What you need is every Taylor Swift fan needs to think that she is a living goddess. Everyone. One TikTok video of a girl who's really excited to see someone. And I was really excited when I saw Irma Thomas. I got her autograph. She gave a picture with me. I won't show it to you because my hair's horrible and my outfit's horrible. And I walked away and cried because I got to meet Irma Thomas. I cried. I was so happy. I doubt anyone would say Irma Thomas fans are cult members. No, this is not a cult, not a cult, not a cult. Just bonkers Christian.
What am I gonna do now?
One doesn't make
that, ladies and gentlemen, is worship. You can't call it anything else. We see her screaming, crying, losing virtually all control. She's obsessed. This woman is utterly infatuated with sitting at the feet of
one person, not a cult.
Taylor Swift, and adoring her. Notice also that she's reacting to Exile, which is a song that she says, quote, saved her life. This is not a coincidence, folks. She's not using that language accidentally. This is what Christians call a salvation experience, a come to Jesus moment, if you will.
No, it is not. In my last episode, I actually talked about, in my episode on Amma, I talked about a woman asking Amma about salvation, and I read a long excerpt about the definition of salvation in Hinduism and the definition of salvation in Christianity. The definition of salvation is basically being, I am a sinner and I go to Jesus. He is now code switching and saying, well, this is what Christians say about salvation, and she's having a salvation moment, but where did she come to Jesus? She's not. Therefore, he's using like 2 definitions of salvation in the same sentence. He's using the Christians use it in one way, and she uses it in another, but oh, it's the same thing. There's a manipulation here. It's insider outsider language, actually, which would point him as the cult member, because he's using insider outsider language. You don't necessarily pick up on this, that there's 2 definitions of salvation, and thus you're believing what he's telling you. So actually, 1 strike for this guy as a member of a cult. 0 for Taylor.
Only in this case, it's a come to Taylor moment. You see, Taylor legitimately functions as a savior to many of these people. She's a priest, one that mediates between them.
Interpretation. She's never said that. There's nothing there anywhere. Adi Da used to say he was the Alpha, the Omega, and the great God. His book is called The Promised God Man is Here. Alma said in the last video, she was ever. Nope. Taylor Swift has never said, I am Jesus incarnate. Completely different. He is interpreting what these people say off of one or two TikTok videos.
And the divine feminine that she represents. Here's another example where two girls react to Taylor's new album. Watch this.
Okay, no. How does he know they're not faking? They could be faking. Seriously, I mean, they're faking this. Yeah, no, I ain't into this. I've had some probably get copies, but this goes on.
Loss of all control. Basically, it's a charismatic worship service based on Taylor Swift's music. And when it comes to new music being released, they wait on Taylor's every word, the way that...
I can't. I'm sorry, dude. You're not really showing a cult because you haven't defined a cult. Actually, what you're saying is that they worship her like they worship Jesus. He's basically comparing Taylor Swift followings to Christianity. So therefore, if Taylor is a cult, he is. That's what he's saying. He's literally implying that Christianity is a cult. Okay, so that's 2 for you, because you're saying you're a cult. 0 for Taylor Swift.
Christians would wait on words from God himself. And by the way, this woman in the video is not a 16-year-old. She's a married young mother of 2 children.
So,
speaking of children, here's another video where this same woman hosts a Taylor Swift party for a bunch of little girls. Watch this.
I'm skipping through this.
As I can. If you're a mother and your small, impressionable little girl knows all the lyrics or a decent amount of lyrics to Taylor Swift's music, you are not being a responsible mother.
I knew all the lyrics to Michael Jackson. Would you say my mother was not responsible? I also knew all the lyrics to Piano Man by Billy Joel.
Full stop. If your 7-year-old is
and Piano Man is about a guy hanging out with drunks in a bar. And I was 7 years old.
Singing about how she's never getting back together with her dirty, rotten ex-boyfriend, you have officially lost the plot.
Also, when I was 7 years old, I didn't realize what a bar looked like. When I memorized the lyrics to Piano Man, I had no idea. So if he assumes that this 7-year-old knows what she's singing about, he has lost the plot. You know the song by Def Leppard, Pour Some Sugar on Me? I literally grew up wondering, why would someone put sugar on somebody else? Because then it gets all sticky and you're going to have to like eat it off of them? That's so gross. I didn't know what the song meant. When I first heard Hey Stupid by Alice Cooper, I didn't know that it was an anti-suicide song. I thought it was a song with a really cool lyric. Hey, 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 stupid. I didn't get most songs that I listened to when I was 7 years old. Okay? It's only later that I grow up. So if he's really thinking that these 7 years old know all about dating and understand this, no, they're just singing lyrics. They really don't understand it. And if he thinks they do, then he forgets about when he was 7. How many things did he listen to? I remember we had to sing in kindergarten. Mrs. Vanderlowski was my music teacher. Who knows where she is now? Probably dead. She had us all sing a line from We Are the World, because it was huge. And my line was turning stones to bread. That's all I had to sing. I had no idea what that line meant. I didn't know until college that it was a reference to Jesus. I didn't know. Now this guy would probably go, oh, well, you were enlightened by Jesus. No, I was literally just singing gibberish. I didn't know. So, yeah, you could say that, oh, look, you know, the parents not taking care of the kids because they should be singing songs to, like, Barney. But honestly, the kids don't know. They don't understand. And this isn't proof of a cult if it's 1 or 2 parents. What we would need is every single parent of every single Taylor Swift fan doing this. And that's not happening.
Out to lunch. One of the songs that those little girls were singing is entitled Blank Space. I'm sure
they
you've heard
don't
it.
get
Here's
it.
a sampling of lyrics from that song that are being sung by your local 8-year-olds. Quote, nice to meet you, where you been? I could show you incredible things, magic, madness, heaven, sin. Or how about this lyric? Quote, saw you there.
I'm sorry, so you know the Ring of Fire song by Johnny Cash? Wonderful song, Ring of Fire. I thought it was talking about volcanoes when I first heard the song, because I think there is a volcano chain. It's at the Aleutian Islands where it's actually called the Ring of Fire. And I thought, oh, that's cool. He wrote a song about volcanoes. I go down to the Ring of Fire and you look at volcanoes. I was older than 7 at the time. No, clueless. This guy's way out there.
And I thought, oh my God, look at that face. You look like my next mistake. Loves a game. Want to play? Think about how creepy this is. These are little girls singing that lyric. Here's another example. Quote, because we're young and we're reckless, we'll take this way too far. It'll leave you breathless or with a nasty scar. Got a long list of...
I don't think memorizing Piano Man made me into an alcoholic later in life. Or wanting to hang out in bars, which I don't do. And I'm not an alcoholic. I don't think listening to Pour Some Sugar on Me wanted to be a sex addict. Okay? I really don't think that. This is an old discussion. This is an old debate where we use the lyrics and they become like that.
Lovers, they'll tell you I'm insane, but I've got a blank space, baby, and I'll write your name. End quote. Can someone please tell me in what universe it's appropriate to have little girls singing about long lists of ex-lovers? I mean, seriously, what are we thinking here? And ultimately, most people think that this is just fun and games. It's just entertainment, right? It's not actually dangerous. But the fact is that all parents, every single parent, is teaching or catechizing, if you will, to use the Christian term, their children. Only in this case, these girls are being catechized in the church of Taylor Swift.
You notice again he's doing the reference to Christianity, so implying that if this happens with Taylor Swift, then Christianity must be a cult too, if it has all the same things that Taylor Swift folks have.
Think about it. They're being primed and prepared through these lyrics for a life in which they, like Taylor Swift, have a long list of ex-lovers who think they're insane. Through this music, these girls are being taught that being used by multiple men is just a part of the modern female experience. It's normal. It's a rite of passage. And when it's over, it will leave you emotionally unstable.
Actually, I read books from the 1800s, and women back then were used by many men, too, matter of fact.
And scarred. But don't worry, that's okay, because Taylor Swift is emotionally unstable and scarred, according to her music. Don't you want to be interesting and independent, just like Taylor is?
When you grow up, maybe you'll listen to other musicians too, and you won't be obsessed by Taylor and be the only person you listen to at the age of 18. You know, these girls are, 7? That's 10 more years of discovering music, right?
By the way, the people who are teaching these things to little girls are the very same people who will turn around and say that having a man being the loving leader of his household is somehow demeaning to all women. But here's the thing. I'm pretty sure that being emotionally...
What does that have to do with anything? And you can't validate that. That is your opinion, sir. I'd like you actually to show me a TikTok video with a mother then saying, well, men... No. You are making an opinion of an irrelevant point that has nothing to do with Taylor Swift to try to boost your argument because you, sir, have such a weak-ass argument. Also, 2-0.
Damaged by a dozen men and surrounded by various species of cats is far worse than having a husband who loves you. But then again, what do I know? I'm just a part of the patriarchy. If you don't think that obsession with Taylor Swift is a problem, just take a look at her fan base and see if you can still hold that position.
It's not a
cult.
And by the
way, these aren't the only problems represented by the average Taylor Swift fan. You see, the average Swiftie is a 30-year-old woman in a tiny, skin-tight, sparkly dress and a pink cowgirl hat that drinks wine before breakfast. This woman may have children, and if she does, they probably spent more time with their iPad than with her. She may have a husband, and if she does, she'll have little to no interest in following his leadership or even acknowledging that it exists. And the next contingent of this fan base is made up of your single college sorority girls who use Taylor Swift as sort of...
So you're already debunking the idea that he's a cult, because I said earlier, cults, everyone's the same. They're small groups. We all live the same, act the same. So we can't have 30-year-olds drinking wine and then college girls. The fact that we have diversity debunks it as being a cult. Okay? Look at any cult out there, the Jim Jones cult, all of these. Everyone kind of is the same. Some variations to human nature, but we're all kind of the same, living the same life. The fact that we have people living very different lives, and she's not telling anybody how to live. Taylor Swift might be singing her lyrics, but she doesn't say to you, oh, well, now you have to have lots of boyfriends and be used and abused by men. She's not saying that. Directly, she's singing a song. And if you think she's speaking directly to someone, then you need to tell me who this song is for and why is everyone else listening to the song that's meant for only one person. This is not cult behavior in the least.
A mascot. They're just hoping to get their degree so that they can spend their days working 60-plus hours submitting to the leadership of a boss who doesn't care about them, rather than ever, God forbid, having to submit to a loving husband. Like Taylor Swift, they want to be a girl boss who makes a bunch of money and leaves a list of former lovers about as long as the roster of your favorite football team. And then, of course, who can forget the male Swifties? By and large, a man who calls himself a Swiftie unironically is either gay, effeminate, or hoping to score a one-night stand with one of the sorority girls that I just mentioned earlier. And
This is just obnoxious.
To be clear, I have no doubt that there are some Taylor Swift fans who don't fit this mold, but I'm willing to bet I just hit the target fairly accurately. And really, all of this is meant to answer the question, what exactly does Taylor represent? In short, she represents virtually everything wrong with our modern society. Feminism, anti-patriarchy, self-centeredness, immodesty, wealth over family values, pro-choice, and pro-LGBT, among many.
So she's not Christian. That's what's wrong with this. This is his whole thesis. And I think she's a cult, but she's not a Christian.
Other things. And she's leading her fan base down this path. She's not just a neutral celebrity who's just in it to have fun. She's taking them somewhere. Anti-Christian values are clearly demonstrated in lots of her music. Here are a few examples. First, in her song Guilty as Sin, she says,
I
quote,
can't do this, sorry folks.
And makes it and Hannah's in their son to put them in a cage. I truly can't stress this enough. To all the fathers out there listening to this, please, do not let your daughters listen to this crap. Swift is literally teaching your children that you hate them. Why? Because then they'll stop listening to you and start listening to her and her degenerate worldly friends.
So, you know what he's telling us? He's telling us that this outside world of this Swiftie cult world is dangerous. And the only way to become pure is to get rid of this outside world and to become a Christian, essentially. As a Christian, you will be pure. The outside world is horrible. When have I said this in today's show before? 3 for 0, dude. You're now 3 for 0. You are now literally touting the demand for purity and the dispensing of existence sort of thing. And he literally actually just said, fathers, don't let your girl do this. So technically, that's 3 things. So let's say 5. 5 times I've hit in this show him basically being cult-like. 0. He's literally showing how he's a cult. He's demanding purity. He's saying inside, outside. I forget the other 2 things. So, this is a cult member.
That's how this works. They don't want your children to stop being taught. They just want to be the ones teaching them. And speaking of that, here's something else Taylor wants to teach her kids. From the same song, quote, God save the most judgmental for me, end quote. In other words, people who call you out for being promiscuous and sleeping around constantly don't actually care about you. No, they're just trying to stop you and your friends from having a good time. In fact, even suggesting that a woman shouldn't do something that she wants to do is actually super creepy and controlling, and you should stop right now. This is the message of Taylor Swift, and it's perfectly in line with radical feminism. The fact is, Taylor Swift is not just one of many immoral pop artists who are just generally out there in the ether. No.
It's radical feminism. It's another outside thing that you need to avoid. Stop being a cult.
She represents something specific, damaging, and far-reaching. We should all pay attention to this moment in culture because the world is showing us their cards. They made Taylor Swift, and she's telling you who they are and what they believe. And the fact is, what they believe is the opposite of what God tells us to believe. God says that the patriarchy, that is, rule of fathers over their families and societies, is good and right, Ephesians 5. Taylor says that it's controlling and wrong. God says that women have been given a distinct and glorious role of submitting to their husbands and nurturing their children, Titus 2. Taylor says that women are supposed to...
So essentially, the doctrine is more important than the person. 6.
Live for their own pleasures, their own desires, having one-night stands and constant emotional breakdowns as a result. God tells parents to show their children his truth, and that this is actually loving to them, Deuteronomy 6. Taylor says that this means your parents actually hate you. God says that taking a baby's life is wicked and evil. Taylor thinks it's empowering and independent. God says that family is the greatest earthly blessing, and anyone who tries to tell you differently is just being a creep. God says that marriage is between one man and act opposite.
It's nauseating.
In fact, she wrote a whole song, an LGBT clear to all the Swifties out there. Taylor is not your friend. She cannot save you. If you really want to be forgiven of your sins and to be at peace in your soul, you need to accept the sacrifice of Jesus Christ.
How many Taylor Swift fans are going, how many Taylor Swift fans, Swifties, are going, oh, Taylor, I want to be saved from original sin by listening to your music? None, because this is a Christian concept of saving. I've talked about this before. Other religions, we don't go to saviors to save us from original sin, which we don't have in our religions. And he's like, well, you can't get being saved from her, but they're not going to her to be saved from original sin and find Jesus Taylor. This is bonkers. This guy needs to get out. Wait, here's the rock. Let's push it up. Oh, you're free from being under your rock.
Can be forgiven of your immodesty, fornication, self-centeredness, etc. All the sins that you've committed. The church is filled with people like you who are saved.
How about your sin of not wearing a good shirt?
Leave this radical feminism behind. It will only make you lonely and miserable. On the other hand, will yield peace, joy, and fruitfulness. And to my fellow Christians, seriously,
that is such cult talk. Like, if you're there, it's bad. This is the purity where he is literally doing cult talk. And I'm not saying that Christians are cults. I don't say that. But this guy is literally spouting all the things. It's down below here. Sorry, right here.
You need to stop listening to Taylor Swift.
You need to stop listening.
She's one of the most anti-Christian artists of our time, and the world needs to know that. And for goodness sake, stop playing her music for your children. Instead, protect them, teach them, nurture them, and show them music that
and
will
be
not deceive
Christian.
them, ultimately. Please pray for this channel and for anyone mentioned in the video. And check out the ministries linked in the description. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, and subscribe to our Rumble channel. And these are the amazing people who make this channel possible with their monthly support. Today's highlighted channel supporter is Christy C. If you want us to do more research, make more videos, and reach more people, please hit the link in the description and join the Truth Army today. And until next time, fight for truth. Thank you, and God bless.
Yeah, no, sorry. That guy literally 6 times acted like a cult member, like I have described to you. And not once showed how this was a cult. Now, he had some arguments about feminism and all this, and I don't really want to get into that, and feminism is bad, or this is good, or that's whatever. That's social issues that have nothing to do with religion right now. No. So that's it, folks. People who think Taylor Swift is a cult really are part of the cult themselves. Cult of cluelessness. I don't know why I did this show. This is just foolish. I should have known better. When we have one video left, I'm probably going to skip through it. It's called The Cult of Taylor Swift again, and I want to see if this guy's legit. Otherwise, we're going to skip through this one. And it's all hogwash, folks. You see it here, 4 separate videos, and it's been nothing but clickbait. And one Christian who's just acting like a cult member.
It's me. Hi, I'm the theorist, it's me.
Oh no.
Exhausting, always trash. The scarf is once and for all. I've got my eyes on you, Jake. If you've been on the internet at all over the past couple months, you've probably heard about Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. From the TikTok outfit reveals to the Ticketmaster presale controversy, this thing has been impossible to avoid. Now, gotta be honest with you, as much of a pop culture fanatic as I am, never really considered myself a hardcore Swiftie. If you see me in headphones, I'm usually bopping around to some Broadway cast recording. Raul Esparza, you are a legend. But it's hard to deny the mega platform, multi-generational success of Tay-Tay. And I do mean multi-generational. Taylor has gotten herself a lock on millennials, Zoomers, heck, even Gen Alpha. And I know that one personally since my son Ali is a die-hard Taylor stan at the age of 4.
Talk to my friends, talk to me.
Meanwhile, the rest of Team Theorist over here are literally flying across the country to see Taylor's latest concert. Honestly, I don't know what's more surprising about that fact. The extreme level of commitment they have to see a concert, or the fact that they have lives outside of their jobs. Note to self, deal with that one later. The rabid fandom that's happening here, and that's frankly been happening for about a decade, is so strong that it almost feels like a conspiracy. And you all know how I love me a conspiracy. So in my efforts to connect with my son and simultaneously get an invite to the next cross-country office concert trip, not that I was feeling left out or anything, I've been doing a fair bit of Taylor Swift research over the last few months, and it started to come to my attention that music isn't the only thing that surrounds her. Nope, her history also has itself a heaping helping of my favorite thing, lore. And where there's lore, I'm ready to spring into action swiftly. So why am I talking about this on a style channel? Well, much to my surprise, her lore isn't so much told through her songs and music, but rather through what she's wearing and how she looks. Today we're cracking open the vault of secrets to what built the cult of Taylor Swift, and how it all comes down to one thing, fashion. And how Taylor is just the latest in a long line of celebrities from Madonna to Markiplier who figured out that you either have to change or you die. For those of you who need a little backstory here,
Yes, this doesn't sound like cult. This sounds like cult of personality.
Taylor Swift started off in her early days as a country singer turned pop star. It's actually an incredibly common pathway to break into the extremely competitive world of pop stardom through another musical genre. Since then, she's released 10 unique studio albums and 2 re-recordings over the past 16 years, all culminating in this latest big event, the Eras Tour. A 3+ hour record-smashing Swift spectacle where Taylor literally dives into the stage, swims under it, creates a tidal wave, and then emerges on the other side in a brand new costume. It is extra in all the best ways possible. In the immortal words of Hope Scope,
I went to the Taylor Swift Eras concert.
I
gotta fast forward. Dance moves. Oh no, these costumes are stories. They're statements, and they are secret signals to the audience. This has been the key to Taylor's success, and it's been telegraphed through her songs the entire time. Let's start at the beginning. When she was first getting her start as a
So I don't think I'll ever get to...
It's more like she took the costumes and made them match the songs, not that it's some probably master plan.
the point where I won't see them.
I hope you think that little black dress, stick the jeans, and in were the sundresses. This worked perfectly when she was trying to break into the early 2000s, this popular trend with her own twist, keeping it inexpensive. The type that were about to become the buzzwords for the next decade. Relatable and authentic. If you've been trolling around the internet, in music land, you had Taylor who understood the normal enough that you could see herself literally talking about the clothes that she's wearing. Not the fashionista one. She's not the popular girl. She's here for you. She is one of you. And people are gonna buy a lot of
That's what I said!
And buy them. Enough tickets. Tag unrelatable there, Tay-Tay. But Speak Now, out in 2010, Taylor tried on a few other styles. The spiteful X and black, and the Taylor Swift and her cutesy country girl shtick was old news.
I was already watching.
In 2012, the 22-year-old Taylor underwent her vibe that perfectly matched the aesthetics of another rising star in this period. Not a pop star, a platform. Instagram. Launched just 2 years earlier, Instagram old retro vintage photographs were being shared to the masses. Even Taylor's then became the abrupt change in her personal style worried the family, the icon. But if red wasn't a big enough shift for you, take a look at 1989. Really huge.
Yeah.
Brand as a pop star album.
Nothing
and full
here.
Stars at the Met Gala. Photos,
I'm hoping at the end he says something.
Anything that she tried before. More rock and roll, but sold off for giving a new life. They existed out her personas. And while I could certainly go into depth into each and every one of these different eras and their respective LP, having conquered every millennial, this into reinventions under her belt. So while Taylor's music is certainly iconic, it's arguable that her smartest work to date has been done in her closet, making sure that people who are listening to her music, or even people not listening, know exactly who she is and see a version of themselves or whatever's trendy reflected back at them when they look at her. In the Eras Tour, we actually see this come to life as a real thing. They were there for the music, sure, but they showed up in the fashion by hers. It's all by design. In a lot of ways, Taylor Swift has been a mastermind this entire time. Oh sure, any true Swiftie can tell you that she secretly hid the image of a snake in her 1989 album, or that 13 is her favorite number since it's been hidden in almost every album that she's written. There's even that time that she hinted about being an Avengers Endgame.
There were some fans
About clothing and fashion in her songs to relate to the fans, and just like with fashion, pop stardom is a cycle of history. Just like low-rise jeans, decades long. Britney Spears, Lady Gaga, and Miss Americana does a great job of actually talking about how reinventing your style as a pop's ahead of becoming series of fashion and music. And solo, she immediately transitioned to bodycon dresses and stilettos. A few years later, she launched a whole new style. Before anyone wants pop cowboy.
Yeah, you know what? That wasn't worth it. I'm sorry, folks. That wasn't worth it because that was a great expose on fashion. So I would say go back and watch that for fashion. But that wasn't anything of value. So let's go back to our big points here because I just like those. This is a cult. We did a great talk on cults at the beginning of this. I spent quite a bit of time explaining a cult. And I think if you examine what I told you at the beginning and you look at it and contemplate it, you'll see why I think this is the greatest definition of cult. These 8 points. And we had none of them today, and I've watched 4 videos that have been very well done, very different. One was, documentary, and one was silly. And Taylor Swift is not a cult leader in any way, shape, or form. She doesn't seem to manipulate us. She doesn't tell us to surrender to her. She doesn't tell her fans to do things or think things. She's not asking them to do anything. She's not demanding anything from them. She's literally just saying, buy my records and support me and buy my merch. But that's what every musician does. And every artist, honestly, writer, name it, movie star, they all do that. And I wouldn't really say that every movie star is a cult leader. There's no conformity here. There's a siren going by. I don't know what background noise you can hear. So none of these things have been witnessed. Now her fan base is a little crazy. But again, the Beatles. Have you seen the response to the Beatles, anybody? And a cult requires a cult leader. Or it requires some sense of control. You can't really have a cult where no one's in control and doing anything. You have to have some movement of something, and someone is pushing and guiding and ensuring and punishing. There's no punishment if you don't like the new Taylor Swift album, So there's nothing here. Even these fans that they're crazy, this is fandom. And now with Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and Rumble and every other thing, it's easy to become a little obsessive, particularly if you don't really have much going on in your life, or you're struggling in high school and you hate it and you just want to graduate, or you're a 30-year-old woman drinking your wine before breakfast because you hate your life and you're stuck with a kid and you don't know what to do about it. Yeah, just some assumptions there. But it's like, no, not a cult. Not a cult in any way, shape, or form. She is very talented on some level. She knows how to use it. If anything, she has studied the art of becoming famous. I would give her credit for that. She has studied the art of becoming famous. She knows how to do it. She has succeeded at it. And we've probably forgotten the times she's failed. And that's it. She studied the art of the craft and is making a success out of it. She's not the first and won't be the last. And people are going for it because people are kind of manipulated. But this doesn't make her a cult leader. Okay? It really, really doesn't. No more than John Lennon sitting in bed was a cult leader. And no one wanted to be in part of the Yoko Ono club anyways. There's no cult around Yoko Ono. So this isn't it. This isn't it. So let's change the view for a little bit. Go back to the beginning, not with the opening, but there we go. So I was hoping for some big revelation today, but in reality I've just debunked this as clickbait, except for one young man who did a very good job at acting like a cult. I just like, wow. wow, I thought, because I knew this was a Christian video, I thought what was going to happen is these people were going to go, well, she's a cult and look at this. But really, the only one was like, they're in a circle. That's a cult. But that was so weak. I thought I was going to get a lot more of that, but I didn't. I actually really just didn't get anything. One guy's talking about fashion, but again, that doesn't make it a cult. So it's clickbait. They're doing clickbait, and we all do that on these YouTube channels. The one Christian, though, I thought he was going to do something crazy, but no, he just condemned her for not being a Christian and basically implied that she should be, but the way he implied it made Christians sound like a cult. So that just boggled my mind. Like, wow. Wow. Well, you never know what I'm going to get on these reaction videos, and, I thought I'd talk about music because I love music, but this was an interesting one. I'm sorry if I didn't sit through all those videos because they were interesting. I'm already worried I might get a copyright strike, but we'll figure that out later. If need be, I'll redo this video and silence those bits. But it's like, yeah, not a cult. Not a cult. So, if you have comments or thoughts or questions and you're still with me on this journey through Taylor Swift, thank you. Yeah, you've been warned that you shouldn't believe the crap. And if your mom doesn't want you to listen because it's a cult, well, mom's not right. Let mom get the 8 points and prove it to us. So, yeah, I think that's all I got to say on this. I do like talking about music. So even though the end of this was kind of like, wow, all right, whatever. I love talking about music, and I love music. And actually, before I was doing this all morning, I was working on my loop station and finding beats and doing stuff. So, music's a huge part of my life. So, it's a worthwhile time. And anyways, informative. And yeah, it's a sunny day here in Portland, Maine at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I think I am now going to go out for a run because I am a marathon runner. And I thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out with me. This was kind of a crazy episode with a crazy topic, and we didn't watch the videos fully, but there wasn't any reason to. And maybe this has been informative, or you've just been laughing at me. Either way, thank you for being here. If you wish to support this channel, there's a bunch of ways of doing that down below, including buying my books, and there's also Buy Me a Coffee. Please check that out for one-time only or ongoing support, and I offer autographed books through that way, or, just reach out and communicate with me. I will reach back to you via email or whatever, though I do get busy, so please excuse me if my delays are slow. And yeah, that being said, thank you for hanging out with me. In the next episode, we're going to be looking at Amma again in the second video and my second reaction video to her. And then, yeah, that's it. I got nothing to say. So we're just going to leave you here and shake it off. Shake it off.